So this is our video on comparing integers, and we're going to use the number line to model that, and hopefully so that we can see maybe some patterns that develop here. So the first one I'm going to compare to 0 with -6, and you can locate your 0 anywhere. Some people always like to put it in the middle, but it depends upon how many numbers on the right and the left that you need. I'm just going to put mine right around there. Whoops, right around there. And then I'm going to count to my right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You really don't have to fill them all in, just so that you can show that you have a general idea of how a number line works. And now I'm going to go to the left. And remember, to the right is our positive numbers. To the left of 0 are our negatives. And they do go in order, just like the positive numbers. So -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6. I'm just going to do a few more. There we go. So if I'm going to look at comparing these two, I'm going to highlight where my two numbers are. Here's my 0, and here's my -6. And as far as comparing, what I'm talking about is using the less than or the greater than symbols. So I'm going to just write my numbers down here in the order that they were given, 0 and -6, and I'm going to try to determine whether or not I want to use a less than symbol or a greater than symbol. Now, the other thing to remember about a number line is as you go to the right, the positive side, those numbers are bigger. As you go to the left, the negative side, those numbers are getting smaller. So you can label it either way that you want, but since I've got the 0 written here on my left-hand side underneath right here, I'm going to label the 0 first because I always like to label the 1 in the problem that's on the left. So if I look at the difference between the 0 and the -6 on the number line, the 0 is on the right side. Well, the right side is your bigger side. So this is my bigger number. Okay, that means the -6 would be the smaller number. So if I look over here, 0 is bigger. Now, if you're trying to decide which symbol to use, you've got the greater than symbol. And today I'm just going to use greater than, and you've got the less than symbol. So if I'm thinking 0 is bigger than -6, then I want to use the greater than symbol because 0 is bigger, so 0 is greater than -6. And that's the way that that basically works. Now let's look at example number 2. Now example number 2 is a little bit more complicated because it involves two negatives. So if I make my number line again, once again, this time I'm going to put the 0 in the middle just so I can get a good number, or basically close to the middle, get a good number on both sides. So I'm going to go to the right, which is my positives, and do several numbers on this side. And then I'm going to go to my left, my negatives. Oh, I barely got it. Should have actually located my 0 a little farther over, but I managed it. Okay, so there's my number line. Now, once again, I'm going to highlight the two numbers. -3 is here. -9 is over there. Okay, and I'm going to write them down below in the order that they were originally given in the example. So I've got -3 and a -9. And just like I said before, I always start to label them, and I start with the one that's on the left side of what I would call the problem. Here's my problem. The -3 is mentioned first. Okay, so -3 is, once again, notice it's on the right side. Okay, I've got the -9 is to the far left, and the -3 is on the right. So this one is bigger. That means the -9 is smaller. Because again, once you go to the left, you're getting smaller. So if I label it under here, the -3 is once again bigger. So just like before, since it's bigger, you want to use that greater than symbol. So I'm going to come down here and put in my greater than symbol. Now this, I'm going to draw it a little bit better. This sometimes confuses people because they say, but 3 is not bigger than 9. But we're not talking about a 3 and a 9. We're talking about a -3 and a -9. And the negative side of the number line reverses things. But let's just go ahead and look at, what if it were a 3 and a 9, like a positive 3 and a positive 9, and how that works or how that's related. So I'm going to use a different highlighter. Here's my positive 3. Here's my positive 9. If I look at those, and once again, I'm going to go to my problem, and I'm going to notice that the 3 is mentioned first. Well, now the 3 is not on the right side, it's on the left. My 9 is to the farthest right, so my 3 is smaller. My 9 is the bigger, because the farther right you go, the bigger the number. So now if I'm going to label my 3 now, my 3 is now smaller. And for smaller, you would use the less than symbol. Notice it's sort of reversing how the negatives work, because the negatives are the reverse of the positive. They're opposites. So when you compare them, they work in an opposite way that the positive numbers work.